Hello, my gorgeous makeup loving friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day. You guys know that I love makeup, beauty, skincare, all that sort of stuff, but it has been an incredibly long time since I did a dedicated video using makeup, to the point that I was like, have I forgotten how to do this? Ugh. But something came recently. It was PR, it was gifted to me, and it just really spoke to my soul, and I was like, I kind of have to do something with this. In case you can't tell from the title of the video, it is the Saints, Angels, Sinners collaboration with Calvin Brockington, who is an extremely skilled MUA. And part of this collection includes the Reckless palette, which looks like this. But it also includes 3 lip glosses and 3 lip liners, of which I have 2 of the lip liners and 3 of the lip glosses. So today's video is essentially a tutorial of this eye look and an overall first impressions of what I think of the collaboration. So if you want to see what I think and how I did this, then this is the video for you. Do please keep on watching. I was super excited to get this palette from Saints, Angels, Sinners. It's the collaboration between themselves and Calvin Brockington, who is an exceptional makeup artist. So he's kind of known for doing these really beautiful, grungy, sultry, polished looks. And that was kind of what I initially was going to do with this palette, because I mean, like, grungy, polished, sultry, that's what it says. But I was also thinking, well, that's what everyone is going to think to do with this palette. So how about we show how versatile it is outside of that? Plus it's Pride Month, let's do something along that. And I've also been seeing a lot of people kind of going, oh, the 2016 makeup is back, and I'm kind of for that. So I kind of figured I'd do something like this. I'm going to add some jewels, etc., because, I mean, why not? But it is actually a very, very simple look. I'm going to zoom you in now and we can do this together. I obviously have the eyelids primed already, and I'm using this Gloss Gods M04. I love it. And I'm going into the shade Will to Live, which is a very yellow shade. And I also figured that using this yellow would be interesting because yellow is so difficult to get right. Like, it's very, very hard. And this is, I mean, this is quite good, you know? I'm always on a hunt for a good yellow, and this packs a punch straight away. One of the things that you'll notice about this palette, which is quite different from Saints, Angels, Sinners general fare, is that this is very matte heavy. There isn't as many like special shimmery duochrome shades. And this actually makes sense. From an MUA's point of view, they're going to want to have more mattes to kind of build up a look. And Calvin also showed on like a live not that long ago just how versatile this palette actually is. It's obviously not just for the eyes. You can use some of these shades as blushes, bronzers, contours, etc. It's sort of like a multi-use palette, which I personally really appreciate. And look at how much pigment I'm already getting. And by the way, this is like a blending brush, so it's not like this is a sort of brush that is designed to pack on color. Like, yes, I'm kind of dabbing it on, but you can see it packs quite the punch and it diffuses really, really well. It's not very difficult to blend. I kind of figured I'd use like a white primer to really help these colors pop. So I used the MAC Sink to a Whisper. I don't believe they make that anymore, which I think is a massive, massive pity. But you can see how easily this goes on. Like, I'm not having to work very, very hard with that, which I enjoy, because I am a lazy bee. But I think particularly with the white, it is popping right out. It's fabulous. I'm now just taking a Cosmic Brushes brush. There's no name on this one, but it does have like this glittery thing, which, I'll be honest with you, makes me stim like crazy. And I'm just going into the shade Bent Not Broken. It's this lovely vibrant orange. And again, I'm being quite cruel because this is not a packing on brush. This is like a blending out brush, but I'm lazy and I want to make less work for myself when it comes to actually cleaning these, because I like cleaning straight after I've done these. But look at how easily that's gone on. It's fabulous. And do you see how easily it diffuses as well? Oh, so good. I'll also say one of the things that you'll notice about this palette is it's quite different, not just in terms of like the sort of colours, etc., than what you would see from Saints, Angels, Sinners, but the actual external packaging is very, very different. So Calvin actually designed that as well. I have to say, multi-talented. That is kind of bananas to me. It's one of those kind of collabs that the collaborator just like ran with it. They did their own thing. They were given enough kind of space to do that. And I so appreciate that. I think that's fabulous. Look at that. Look at how easily that blends. This is one of the shades, by the way, that he recommends using as like a blush. And I'm like, okay. Okay, then I also find that for me, around here, around the eyebrows, is where I really struggle to get pigment to sit down for whatever reason. It's just like, no, we do not want to do that. But I haven't found that with this particular palette, I have to say. It is pretty impressive thus far, and you can see it blends really well with that yellow. Now, part of that is obviously the colours are so related to each other, so yellow and orange are always going to be easy to blend together. But even that being said, I do find that they just go together really, really well. I'm now taking a blank canvas E10 and I'm going into the shade Soul Searching, which is this red. Now, I find this to be quite an interesting shade because it doesn't immediately come off as red. It's more like a pinkish red, but you can build it up quite a bit. Like, do you see even just there? Like if you pack it on, again, I'm not using the best brushes to pack on, but as we said previously, Teresa's lazy. But you can see just how much it builds up, and then you can diffuse it without any major work. Now, to the best of my knowledge, they still have a few of these left, and there's a couple of codes that you can use for money off, but I did see an email go out just the other day where I think they said they had like 12 left in stock, and that there was like 50% off or something for Pride, which was like, you're giving these away. What is going on? So, I mean, whew, what a way to go. And I will say, like, it's kind of perfect for Pride because, I mean, you can literally make a Pride look from it. But it's also like an everyday palette as well, which is like, how often do you get something that's that versatile? It's not very common. Do you see how easily it's actually sticking to here? And I said before that this is the area that I have trouble, that it starts to kind of like patch up. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that. You're sitting there kind of going, Teresa, yes, I know. We've seen this with you historically. Yeah, it's an issue. I don't know what it is. I have like a little bit of like scar tissue here and here. Don't ask. So sometimes I just find it kind of sits in that in a particular way, but actually this one doesn't seem to have any major issue with this. And again, not finding any issue with the blending, kind of here for it. I'm now taking this Blend Bunny B5 and I'm going into the shade Brain Sphere. And I mean, I had to check out what this purple was like. You guys know purple is a bitch to formulate and it can often come off patchy, etc. This is really nice. Again, it's one of those ones that initially comes on quite light, but it's buildable. So this is kind of, I mean, you can tell this is from an MUA. They're going to go for something that is buildable, that you can pack it on, diffuse, pack it on, diffuse. Now, I personally like that, particularly if you're a bit nervous of makeup. I find those sort of formulas work best for those who are a bit tentative with the pigment. Like, do you see how easily it's kind of dispersed there? Like, it's nice. And also that would be beautiful as a blush on somebody who has a deeper skin tone. I am 100% here for this. Now, I know that this look that I'm doing is kind of dated. I don't care. I'm not even going to slightly apologise for it. I just feel like it. I haven't played with makeup in a really long time. If you guys have been following my channel, you'll know that I've been a bit like burnt out, not feeling the best. I find that like at least once a year, I struggle with autistic burnout. And the older I'm getting, the more severe that burnout is getting. So I'm like, oh, well, that's a fun little thing for me to learn about myself as I age. So I do find that I'm kind of struggling a little bit more. And I thought, well, why not just do something that's a little bit fun, a little bit kitsch, a little bit like whatever. But I kind of feel like everything has got to look really nice when it's all put together. She said hopefully, but I still like this, so I don't care. I do what I want. Thank you very much. I mean, look at that. Look at how well that has blended. You could do just a nice sunset eye with that. And there's enough, like, there's a black in there as well. I didn't even use the black. Can you imagine? I know. But I mean, look at how beautifully that has blended. What I'm going to do now is just kind of cut out some of this and we'll come back in a minute. So I wanted to do something that was a cut crease, but not quite a cut crease. So it's like a half cut crease, but in kind of like an inverted way. So I tried to do something a little bit different. This time I'm taking this Zoeva 238. You guys know I absolutely love that brush. And I'm going into the shade Will to Live. So that's the yellow one again. And this is more of a brush that is suitable for packing. So I am packing on the yellow here, just stamping it on. So you might see that it gets kind of caught a little bit in the primer. That's just the nature of the primer. It is what it is. But once you blend it with a good blending brush, then you're fine, my friends. It's not that much of an issue. But you see, getting good pigment. Ugh, and it's hard to do that with the yellow. Hard to do that with the yellow. To date, my favorite yellow is probably from the BH Cosmetics Tokyo palette. God, I miss BH Cosmetics. And yes, I know they still exist, but Revolution took over them and I don't like buying anything from Revolution. So that's a sort of a pity. And I also feel like that's really impacted kind of where the brand is going. This is a good yellow. It's kind of very Be Perfect-esque. And I say that like with admiration because Be Perfect do very good mattes. Let's be real. They've done this very well, I have to say. It's looking pretty good. Now, I don't want that to be super, super harsh, so I'm taking this Gloss Gods M04. You guys know I'm an affiliate with the brand. I do like this brush. And I am just going to very, very lightly blend. I'm going to add a little bit more as well, because obviously when you do that, it's going to disperse the shadow. It's not a big deal. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And we don't panic. The joys of having hooded eyelids. I love when somebody will do a tutorial and they're like, oh, this is a tutorial for hooded eyelids. And I'm like, is the hooded eyelid in the room with us? Because you don't have hooded eyelids. I do. They're not super hooded actually, but they are for sure hooded. So do you see what I mean about when you blend it out, you get rid of that harshness of the primer? So don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. I have another Zoeva 238. I mean, are we that surprised? And I'm going into the shade Breakthrough, which is this fabulous grungy green. And that's part of what really drew me to this palette because I do love a bit of grunge. I know it's hard to tell from this look, but I do. And I'm just popping that along here. And I will be blending that. But do you see how even with this packing brush, you're getting a good amount of pigment? I have to say, you know, it's very difficult for indie brands, right? Because people want, you know, like special shades, special shades, special shades. And I feel like that's what a lot of indie brands have been doing. They've been like kind of going, here's our duochrome palettes, here's our multi-chrome palettes, and that's great. But there's a lot I feel that need to like work on their mattes because, I mean, the matte is foundational for a look. And I feel like this is actually done very, very well. Again, I think this is because an MUA did a collab here. That's not me saying anything against Saints, Angels, Sinners, but I just feel like, you know, the MUA is going to be sitting there kind of going, I need this to be exactly correct, you know? That's why I just really love MUA collabs, because they really think about like products being super, super versatile. And for me as a consumer, I love that. I now have a Cosmic Brushes CB4. Look at how beautiful it is. Such a nice little blendy brush. And I'm just going to blend that. I'll probably pick up a little bit more just because obviously when you blend, you lose a little bit. This is what I'm saying about this pigment, which I really enjoy, is that it does diffuse. I like that. I know that some people have that preference for like bam pigment straight away. But sometimes I find that when you get bam pigment straight away, it's really hard to work with. That is very hard to blend. But this is nice and buildable and diffusible. I personally quite like that. And another Zoeva 238. I love these so much. And I'm going into the shade Never Hold Back. And I quite like that they went for a very cool toned, blue toned green, because they have both the yellowy version of a green, which is that one that I have in the center, and then a much more blue toned. And that's, I think, very, very smart. Sometimes I find with like all green palettes, they've just gone with like very yellow toned, which I don't mind. I love a yellow toned green, but I think you do need to have also more blue toned, cool toned greens. And particularly when I'm putting this next to quite a cool toned purple, I want to have those cool tones going together. You can see how well I'm getting pigment here. Nice and simple. And obviously then I'm just putting liner. I'm not going to show you the liner because who cares? That's not interesting. But I will like finish this up and like finish up the makeup look. I'll probably use the palette in terms of like contour, blush, etc. Bronzer for sure, because again, that was one of the things that Calvin pointed out with this palette that I think is so smart. I'm now taking another Cosmic Brushes brush. It's the CB4 and literally just diffusing along here so that it's blending in a little bit more gently. But that's essentially the eyeshadow look done with the exception of the liner. Now I'll probably do a little bit under the eye. I have like one extra shade to do because obviously I had to use one of the special shades. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. You know, it's a problem. It's a problem. But I do find, considering these are two different tones of green, right? We've a yellow toned one and a blue toned one. They are still actually blending quite well together. Now you do have to take a little bit of time. I'm sorry, they don't just like blend like that. But you do see that with enough time, they do blend quite nicely, which I appreciate. And again, that's harder when you're blending across different kind of color groups in that sense of like warm to cool. I think that's a good sign. And then the very last thing that I'm doing is I'm taking another Cosmic Brushes brush, the CB4. Again, it is the MVP of this particular video. And I'm going into the shade Unimaginable. So this is one of those like special shades. It's very duochrome, and I'm just popping that on the inner corner, sort of where I'm going to be putting a certain amount of the liner, because I really want to draw the eye to a little bit of light here as well. Now, I'm putting this on with a blending brush, and even though it's going on with a blending brush, you're still seeing that it's very impactful. Now, you're going to get obviously a totally different application if you're applying with the finger. It's going to be like blending, but I didn't really want that for this. But you can see that this does give that little bit of something for this. And it helps that, you know, the matte is underneath there to kind of build it up a little bit as well. But that, my friends, is essentially it in terms of the eyeshadow look. I'm going to do the rest of this, put on foundation, etc. And we'll come back and we'll do some contour, etc. together. So I did say that I would try and use the rest of the palette for the face. So I have an Artitude Cosmetics angled brush, which I like to use for contour. And I'm going to go into the shade No Regrets because I feel like it's going to work quite well on me as a contour. So I'm just picking up a little bit of that, but I don't want to go with too much. So I'm just kind of patting out a little bit onto this so that we can just very gradually build it. Because I mean, it's easy enough to add in more, but it's very difficult to take away. So you can see I'm already getting quite a bit of pigment like right there. So I'm just patting it on at the moment. Don't worry, I'm going to diffuse it in a little bit. Now, I will say that the foundation that I have on is very light coverage. It's the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. Jesus Christ, can you get a more like difficult name? But you can see how easily that's just kind of gone in there. Nice and simple. Kind of love that. And I'll just tap off some excess because I like to make it look like I have cheekbones. I don't know about you, but it's a nice sort of a feeling. I'm also going to be doing under the lip. Now, he came out with 3 lip liners. I only got 2 of them. I got one of them ages ago, where Darcy, the owner of Saints, Angels, Sinners, very kindly sent it to me because she knows that I've been on a weird lip liner journey. And I've been using it quite a bit. It's the 08 in a lot of my like TikTok shorts, etc., where I'm like, and I have something on my lips. It's that, along with the Ulla Henriksen lip peptide in Strawberry Sorbet. They go so well together. So I have 2 of the lip liners. So not all 3, but that's fine. Lord knows I have enough. Look at that. That's a decent contour. and it's blended nicely. Now what I will say is obviously when you have a load of lights on, it comes off a little bit more harsh. But in reality here, it looks pretty good. So I'm kind of happy with that. Now I will say I also have some blemishes and I don't really want to cover them up because I'm like, that's life, my love. Like that's just what this looks like. I will say, because I'm so pale, when I put it on anything really, really colourful, it's almost like, wow, here's Casper, the friendly ghost. So it is a little bit like jarring almost to see it, but like it's grand lads, like we're fine. So now I want to do some blush. So there's essentially like 3 choices in here. There's the orange, the red and the purple. If you wanted, you could probably you know, use the yellow as well if you are feeling like doing that. I think that what I'm going to do is go with the orange, which is bent, not broken. Again, I'm going to take a little bit on this brush, tap it out, because I don't want a bunch of pigment either. I want to be able to just lightly diffuse it on. But like, oh, that's nice. Okay, that's nice. It's relatively subtle. And you can see I'm only taking a little bit and I'm tapping it out to diffuse it on the brush. But I'm still getting a nice bit of pigment there. Woohoo! I like that. That's nice. I love having a palette that I can use for several things. And this is one of those. I've got a contour. I've got a blush. I'll probably use something for highlight in here, but I don't feel like it. I feel like they're probably a bit much. And I want maybe the look that I have to be, like the eye look that I have to be the main focus here. And I do want to glue some gems onto myself. I hear that's what normal, well-adjusted people like to do. I'll put a little bit of blush on my nose as well, just to kind of make me look a bit more alive. It's funny, you know, when you put on foundation, because it evens out the skin tone, it does just make you look a little bit more dead and you have to try and make yourself look alive again. Oh, that works. That is nice. I also then have this Sigma angled brush and I want to go with a bronzer, and I feel like the shade See Me Now will work quite well for me because I'm very pale. Oh God, I've taken on a lot, but that's okay. We'll just pat off a little bit and I'll go very gently, very, very gently. So I'll just pop that there. And it does mesh quite well with the blush, in my opinion. Let's put up a bit here. Make the forehead look normal. I have such a huge forehead. It's ridiculous. Should one person have this much forehead? I feel like there must be like somebody out there who doesn't have enough forehead because I've been greedy and taken this much. Like, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous, I tell you. That comes out quite nicely, and it really meshes with the blush quite well, I think, because it's quite orange toned and a very orangey bronze. Now I know some people like more neutral bronzes, and that's totally fine. This probably won't work for you in that sense, but it's working for me for what I want it to do. Make it look like I've at least seen the sun. It's terrible, like it's June. But I am a big SPF lover. Like, you know, I will not leave the house without having SPF on. It's just, it's the law, frankly. Okay, that is essentially it. I'm going to finish off the rest of the face, put on some lashes. I'm going to use one of the lip liners and the glasses. I'll tell you which one after, and I'll tell you what I think of it. I love how makeup is such a trust the process, because there is a point where you're like, this looks really weird and incohesive, but I feel like all of this now put together makes so much sense. I did tell you that I would say what combination I used on the lip, and as I said, this is the one that I have been very much going towards, and it's really annoying because there's like no writing to say which one it is, but this is the 08. It's quite a warm brown, absolutely stunning. I've put that all over the lip, and part of what I loved about Calvin was him saying, I kind of feel like you don't need lipstick if you have a lip liner, and I'm like, hell yes, you could just fill in your entire lips with a lip liner. Why not do that? Now there are 3 lip glosses right? So there's like a silvery one, which is gorgeous, because let's be real, Fenty's coming out with their silver gloss, which I do want, but this is a little bit more like white, whereas like the Fenty one is more like metal, gunmetal. Then there's a very nude one which has absolutely no like shimmer in it. It's a very peachy one, and this is Playtime. Now this is quite an interesting one. It's the one that I have on my lips. It's pink, but there's a little bit of like a silveriness to it. It's like a little bit duochrominess. Absolutely stunning. But this is the overall finished look. I'm going to zoom you in now so you can see the finished eyes. And I mean, I did say that I was going to put on gems. It's a very, very simple look. I did use a little bit of like a gel liner. It's the Melt Cosmetics in the shade Immortal, just down on the lower lash line. And then I used like some general liquid liners. I used a Tom Ford one that my gorgeous friend Daniela gave me. But look at how simple this is, but I think it's really pretty. And then this is it without the glasses on. Don't mind the fact that I've indentations. That's just essentially the way that my life goes. You know, if you wear glasses, you know what the story is. And yes, I know my fringe is doing very strange things, but we're not going to question it too much right now. I will show you this in alternative lighting too. This is what the look looks like when I just have one ring light on top of it. If you've watched things like my Swatching Sundays, you know that things do appear a little bit differently depending upon the lighting. So I wanted to show you what this looks like now. I did put some gems on. Are we that surprised? And obviously this is the look then without the glasses. It's very, very simple. I feel like a lot of you guys can do this as well, but it kind of is a testament to the mattes and how easily they blend. Like, it was so, so simple. So that obviously leads us as to what I thought of this overall collection. I'm going to start off first with the palette, because let's be real, the cornerstone of any collection is the eyeshadow palette. I love how versatile this is. Yes, I know so many brands are kind of going, here's our special shades, and that's grand. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But if a palette doesn't have good mattes, what's the actual point? And this has very, very strong mattes. You could see how blendable they were, how buildable they were. I personally really like that. You can build them up to like that full pigment, which is like fabulous. I love how versatile this is. I mean, you can do full neutral right there, you can do grunge, and then you can do bright and colourful. I chose to do very bright and colourful because I felt like everyone that I saw was doing very like grungy looks, but I wanted to show off just how versatile this is. And also what I appreciate is the fact that, again, you can use this for the face. I showed you guys, perfect for contour, bronzer, blush, etc. Absolutely fantastic. They did kind of go a little bit out on a limb, because Saints Angel Sinners would typically do those special shades, and they do them very, very well. So this was a very, very different direction for them to go into, and I think this was done exceptionally well. I always have like a soft spot whenever an MUA does a collab. I just feel like they always bring this kind of slightly different dimension that the rest of us wouldn't have thought of, and I feel like this palette really kind of speaks to that. So in terms of like a mark out of 10, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm only taking a half a mark off simply because I think initially when you look at this, you get a little bit overwhelmed, and it's not 100% easy to see what you can do with it, but I feel like with time, you start to get the grips of this. Like, it took me a little while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with this. And I mean, I'm being very pernickety taking that half a mark off, because otherwise it performs exceptionally well. It's so, so fabulous. Let's talk about the lip liners. I got 2 of them, but I'm going to talk about the 08. Firstly, it's a wooden pencil. Of course, an MUA is going to release something that has a wooden pencil. Can you tell I love this so much? I've pared this down a couple of times. Beautiful. It stays really well. It's creamy, but not so creamy that it's going to run all over the place. It's firm, but not so firm that it's going to tug. You know, the sharp lip liners that you're like, why is this scraping off my lip? It's not one of those. It's just the right, it's like a Goldilocks. You know, it's just in the middle, just firm enough, just creamy enough, very, very pigmented. Really like that. The lip glosses. Obviously, I'm wearing Playtime right now, so that's the one that I'm going to talk about. Really nice formula. It's not sticky. Like, I have my hair down right now, and it doesn't get stuck into it, which is nice. I even did a little demonstration for you there. I did get my hair cut recently. It is a little bit more voluminous, so it's a whole thing. That's not the point, Teresa. But the lip glosses are really, really nice. I appreciate the fact that there are two kind of more special shades in here that are a little bit more pow, and then there's a more like standard everyday kind of thing, because I think that almost ties back in with the palette itself, because you know, you can do those standard everyday things, but you can do something a little bit more like out there, a little bit more special. I think they're great. In terms of the lip pencils, yeah, can't fault them. I think they're fantastic. I love a wooden sharpenable pencil. 10 out of 10. No, I'm going to take a half mark off, right? And again, this is me being pernickety because they're not labelled, right? It's not labelled that this is 08, and this is just me being like, but if I wanted to replace this, how will I know which one it is? I only know because I kept it in its packet for as long as I did. So that's half a mark off. Then in terms of the lip glosses, I mean, they're fantastic. Really nice applicator, not super sticky, very, very comfortable. They don't gloop. You know how some ones like gloop and you're like, why is this glooping and getting into the edges of my mouth? They're not doing that. Price wise, very, very good. I feel like they could come out with a bigger size of this. That would be really, really smart. Like, these are great, very portable, very, very nice. I would actually give these a 10 out of 10. I think they're really, really strong. But yeah, I think they have a few more of these left on their site. Please do remember that when I'm talking about this, it was gifted to me. It is pure, but I will always like give my overall impressions as honestly as possible. But do remember that when people get pure, you know, it can impact impressions, etc. So do try to watch a couple more reviews to get an overall idea of these things. I know Steph did one. Fantastic. She's fabulous. I think they have a few more of these left in stock. I personally think it's really, really good. It's a little bit intimidating to look at initially, but the formula is definitely there. But my gorgeous friends, that's it. That's the end of this particular video. It's been a while since I played with makeup. It was a little bit tricky. I know it's a slightly more nostalgic look, but why not? Why not have fun makeup? Anyways, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell and do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.